Let's jump to this clip from Fox News about Kevin O'Leary and talk about what's going on in New York, because we've been ragging on New York all day. Let's listen.
But more importantly, the message about the American brand. You think about America, the reason this is the #1 economy on earth is that we have laws and we have due process and we have property rights. It attracts foreign capital from all around the world. All of that is being shaken to the core here. The concept of seizing assets in 30 days on a bond number that's never been issued. No insurance bond company's ever issued anything near this, so there was no chance it was going to happen. And only giving 30 days notice and time, that's a really bad message. And I think New Yorkers should think well past Trump. Whether he's president or not, or whether this attorney general is gone in 4 years or not, it's irrelevant. This is case setting against the American brand. The most stable country on earth,
not anymore,
anywhere, to put capital to work over a long period of time, particularly in real estate, is the United States of America.
Let's break down real quick what he just said. This is about the fraud case against Donald Trump. A $454 million bond, which now is up to like 500 and something, has never been issued. It's an absurd number. No one has that kind of cash. That was the intent.
The entire point was to bankrupt Donald Trump.
The judge issued a summary judgment. There was no trial. The judge said, I hereby declare Trump committed fraud. Now we're going to determine how much you owe us. That's what happened.
That is
Trump
still shocking
had
that
no
happened.
trial.
It's kangaroo
They
court.
gave him 30 days to come up with $500 million, which doesn't exist. Like, people don't have that cash laying around. No one does. Or they're going to take his properties from him. This is New York full-fledged communist takeover.
I mean, it's not dissimilar to what we're witnessing in Brazil, either with either Lula or Bolsonaro. We are now in the era of arresting our political enemies and putting them away, or finding ways to make their lives so miserable.
Bolsonaro just got indicted for falsifying his own COVID vaccine card.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Isn't that ridiculous? He and his daughter both did. They didn't want to take the COVID vax. The government was like forcing everybody to take it. And so Bolsonaro was like, well, we're not going to do it. And so he falsified his own record so that he could like leave the country and do stuff. But this
that's the reality of where we go.
That's what we have next.
What we have now is quite literally, look, in these communist countries, do people really think that it was like the premier and the dictator just went, for no reason, I'm going to steal your building?
No, it's for your own safety.
No, it was
for your own
this
good.
man has been accused of a crime. He has been hereby accused of this crime 1, 2, 3, and 4. He must go to jail. What say you all? All right, to jail with him.
Yep.
They don't just walk up and say, your building is now mine. That's simplistic. They always try to justify it to maintain plausible control, plausible governance. No, we are here to enforce the law and the safety of the people. Kevin O'Leary is on CNN. And they had a Washington Post woman who's smirking the whole time like, it's to protect the market. And Kevin's going, the market is destroyed by this. Nobody wants to invest in New York now. He doesn't. And he's telling her there's no market anymore. But these communists are just laughing, being like, good, we don't like it.
Well, and you even had Kathy Hochul addressing the concerns that New York business owners would be concerned by this and would, essentially divest from New York. And she basically came out and said, no, we're just doing this to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That's what she said. It's just like what Katie Porter said. She said that basically the entire Democratic platform is set up to oppose Donald Trump, not to oppose his policies, not to oppose his ideas, not to oppose the Republican Party, not to oppose, different plans for the United States or a different future than the one she envisions. Their entire party, she said, is set up to oppose Donald Trump. And that's what they're doing in New York as well. And that's what they're going to do. They're trying to do it in Georgia. They were trying to set this up against Trump in Colorado. Yeah, that's where we are.
I think
if anyone continues to do business in New York, specifically in real estate, I think they're out of their minds.
This is exactly why O'Leary is so activated. I would imagine he never voted for Trump. He's probably not a Trump supporter, but he has tens of millions of dollars of real estate that exists within New York.
Oh, hundreds.
Yeah, well,
and he's probably like, I got to get out. What do I do? And he can't just divest.
Exactly.
It's too difficult.
And you know why he can't divest is because everyone all over the world who has forever looked at America as this bastion of security and safety when it came to investing is now looking at America and saying, this is a politically weaponized system. And if I deploy capital here, and this is actually ties into...
Like Venezuela.
This ties into my opposition to your perspective on the TikTok bill too, in that if you start to weaponize the government against, alleged foreign enemy nations, which they just listed off those 4 nations, well, that dries up foreign investor capital because they realize that we're now in an activated, kind of militarized financial system.
That's a bit extreme.
That's true.
It's not.
Yes, it is. How many people live in China and invest in real estate in America?
Germany is not concerned that they will be named by Congress in a bill as an enemy of the United States.
Okay, what about the 1.5 billion people that work and create in China?
China was in a codified bill listed as an adversary of the United States.
Right.
So if they chose to invest, with that being the case, they made that decision, which proves what you're saying is not correct.
Well, because it hasn't gotten to as bad as it can possibly get. But once you start to ban their products outright, it's gonna give investors pause when it comes to investing. Chinese investors in American real estate is astronomical,
and we'd want them to go away.
Well, if that's your perspective.
But we don't want China to own our economy. The craziest thing about the TikTok bill is that you have people defending it by saying there are thousands of people who run their businesses on TikTok. We can't shut it down. And I'm like, wow, the Chinese Communist Party has control over a large portion of American business? Wow, now I'm even more in favor of this divestment bill. They should not have that power.
See, that's I think a little bit unfair framing, given that
the Libertarian Party's position is that we should allow our foreign adversaries to have control over our market, our real estate, then the Libertarian Party is not a serious political party.
You got to beat them at their own game.
I'm interested in free market trading. I am. That's been a Libertarian.
You have to get them
forever.
to defeat themselves, because if we let the president decide at will who's the enemy and ban their products, well, that's what that bill does.
It does not.
Yeah,
I don't care if you don't like the bill. I don't care if you don't like. No, it doesn't.
Did you read section?
I read
2G?
the whole thing. We went over the whole thing. I don't care if you don't like the bill.
What'd you
You're
think
allowed.
about it?
Let me finish.
Okay.
You're allowed to say that government weaponizes bills and will misconstrue them. All of that is true for every single bill imaginable. But what I am sick and tired of is everyone lying about what is in the bill.
I understand.
So we went over a bill in Congress that would give an unelected bureaucrat the right to ban farms. Ain't nobody talking about that one. It would allow them to send an inspector to any farm and say, you are no longer allowed to produce milk. Ain't nobody talking about that one.
Terrifying.
Well, it is. Why is everyone so obsessed with TikTok?
Yeah.
And the point with the TikTok bill is, if you are concerned about a bill that would allow the president to declare that one of 4 enemy nations has a financial interest in a social media app that has more than 1 million users, where users are able to log in to both share and view content, it is a declared national security threat to Congress and has been adjudicated in DC. If you're going to say all of that and I think that's a bad idea, say, okay. But if we're talking about, I'll say it again. My issue with it is that people keep lying about what's in the bill because they're trying to win a political argument.
Yeah.
Instead of just coming out and saying the bill would do these things. It is possible the president will say something like, this guy, Igor, has a financial investment of 20% in Truth Social. It was bought on the public market. He has to sell that. That's the first thing that happens. That's it. It's a divestiture bill. Banning is only the enforcement action against a company that doesn't divest.
Right.
From one of 4 foreign adversaries.
I agree with your description of it. The issue that I have, and I align myself with David Sachs' analysis on this, and I forget exactly the clause.
What's the name of the bill? Why is it so hard to find? This is freakish. Why
it's
is it
a really long name?
Yeah,
it's like
I don't
the
remember
federal.
it exactly.
It's HR 7521 or something like that.
But the point he was making is the same one that Ian was bringing up. That the description of I think it was under the control.
Yeah, HR 7521. I got it right here.
Under the control of is just too broad. I do not trust. I mean, this is what I find fascinating. You're as big a skeptic of the Biden administration as anybody. You understand that they've weaponized the political system against Donald Trump and political dissidents all across this country. I am not interested in empowering these people further. And
so agreed. Stop passing any bill whatsoever.
Sure.
And stop and I call on Thomas Massey to stop putting out of context snippets. I call on Rand Paul to issue a correction that ByteDance is a Chinese-owned company, and he got that wrong.
He got that wrong.
And I call on everyone else to stop. I call on Tucker Carlson to retract his statement that this bill would allow Joe Biden to ban any news website that opposes him. That is factually false.
Well,
100% false. It could not do this.
In its current existence, yes.
It could not do that.
Yeah.
There's no reason to say those things. Please oppose the bill. Tell me why you oppose the bill,
right.
and I'll say you're entitled to oppose it. Why? Look, My problem with the corporate press and the Democrats is they lie about everything. So if Thomas Massie comes out and cuts context, if Rand Paul is wrong and Tucker Carlson is wrong, I'm going to say these people are wrong.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair. I think that the argument that the Thomas Massies and the Justin Amash and the Rand Pauls of the world are making, including Ron Paul, he came out against it too, including myself, Dave Smith, a whole list of people, is that we are essentially shell-shocked from what the power that the federal government has accumulated through periods of crisis without demonstrable evidence of the claim. I have not seen, and I'll ask you just bluntly, have you seen any definitive evidence that the CCP is actually dictating the algorithm when it comes to TikTok? Because Marco Rubio and all of these other neocon scumbags pretend as if they've seen it, pretend as if they have it.
That they have a board, the CCP has a board member on TikTok?
It has a board member, yes.
That's right.
Yes. Is that evidence? That's evidence enough to you?
That means they built the algorithm.
Can I FOIA the Chinese intelligence agencies to figure out their communication with TikTok? The answer is obviously no.
Well, if they're doing business in America, maybe you can. I don't know.
No, you can't. But I can FOIA the FBI, the NSA, the CIA. It doesn't mean I'm going to win. But at the very least, we did get through FOIA proof that intelligence agencies were in active communication with our social media, and we were able to take some action against them, to which it is currently going to the Supreme Court. That is a very, very challenging and difficult position for American people to challenge these massive multinational corporations headquartered in the United States.
Massive, yeah.
And we still at least have the ability to have FOIA requests of our intelligence agencies and figure out these things are going on. Right now, we do not have that with TikTok and the CCP. We can't even begin to ask them what degree of control. And it's already been speculated the reason they won't sell is because they want control of the algorithm and they don't want to reveal what it is. Unfortunately for us, I have no intention of believing the communists have this beautiful algorithm that is totally neutral and just shows kids what they like.
No algorithms are neutral. I mean, okay, you're right. There are neutral algorithms, but if you don't show it, it's not neutral.
China's not going to release the algorithm under no circumstances because it is a weapon of war.
Now check this out.
Or it's just the most advanced algorithm in the world. Wait, look, let's just consider for a second that Mnuchin, the Treasury, I think it was the Treasury Secretary under Donald Trump, he has now gone into private practice. He has his hedge fund, and he is arranging to acquire TikTok, the domestic version of it.
Yep.
I think that is absolutely reprehensible. If you believe it's a weapon of war, then you should want it abolished entirely, correct?
You think this is the difference between revolutionaries and reformers. I think it's better that Amazon owns TikTok than the CCP, and Amazon is bad.
Correct.
But you think it's better the communists own this massive platform with U.S. businesses and our children on it? That's insane.
Well, my perception is that the gravest threat to me and my family is not the CCP, is the United States federal government.
Right. So I'll say it again. We have the ability to take action against the U.S. government. We have actually won tremendously when it comes to, say, Second Amendment rights. We have nothing to go against the CCP. And if they control any amount of our economy through real estate, farmland, or TikTok, if they're able to influence our youth, as Yuri Bezmenov warned us about, we have to take action to prevent that.
Talk to me about this bill for a second, because we haven't really gone too deep. I want to. Section 2G is the definitions. This is where I was like, oh, God, my mind started to get twisted. Reading what the bill actually means. Always go to the definitions when you're reading bills, because they'll tell you, oh, that word we used, it means this. So controlled, the term, something that's controlled by a foreign adversary. See there, 2G, section 1.
Okay, so let me tell you. Yeah. Controlled by a foreign adversary, specifically in the definitions, refers to another bill where this is codified by Congress as China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran.
So any other, as soon as a country becomes codified, then that will become part of this.
If Congress comes together and declares under that specific subsection an amendment that would add or remove, it would change these things.
Yeah, that's dangerous, because if someone has a network that is messing with us, then Congress might be like, well, they're definitely an enemy.
Well, the counter argument is exactly this. You've already had an outright lie that Donald Trump was being controlled by Vladimir Putin. Is it so far-fetched?
What was the legal result of that investigation?
Well, after 7 years, I mean,
you
could still in the interim have Elon Musk forced to divest of X.
Yeah, the argument you're making is not about this bill. It is about all bills that pass through will grant power that will be used in ways it wasn't intended to be used. I completely agree with that.
Well, but I'm
so
also
if you oppose
saying
the bill,
that the exact language of this
on its structure,
yes,
and not on. general government corruption.
I am, but I'm opposing it on the structure in that it says right there that control is too broad,
or a subject to the direction, or just the direct, not the control, the direction
or
of
direction.
A foreign person that is domiciled in.
And what did they say about
country.
Donald Trump? They said that he was being controlled or directed. He was being foisted upon us because of $100,000 worth of ads on Facebook.
They could immediately ban Truth Social if this goes through.
No, they can't.
Because of Trump's.
See, this is
how many users does Truth Social have?
Not many, but
to be honest, I don't know. Good point.
Well, it needs to have at least 1 million. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.